Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Stark Flavor Stories. And I have a very special guest today, my friend, Keri Sullivan, the owner of two barrel rooms in North Canton and the barrel room in Canal Fulton. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I am doing well. It has been, seems like forever since I've seen you, which
Yes. Few
yesterday.
few 12 hours or so. Yeah.
Yesterday, I was at the barrel room in North Canton for an awesome event with my friend Olivia.
Yeah, I got her hat on today. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yeah, I did. I didn't notice that at first. She's going to be very proud when she
Yeah,
sees
she's
this.
she's lovely.
Yeah. So Keri, if you are familiar with the Barrel Room, is a staple of North Canton and has a, I guess, ever-growing footprint in Canal Fulton that you've been out there for about 2 years now that we'll get into. But I know a lot of people know the Barrel Room, but may not know you. So let's start with telling people a little bit about you and kind of your story about how you formed the idea of the Barrel Room when you opened it.
Well, I actually didn't form the original idea. The original owner was Adam Todd. So we opened in 2010. He opened it. I started here shortly later. I think I started here in 2012. Yeah, it would have been 2012. He either opened in 10 or 2011, because I got here about a year after he opened. I actually just came on as a server one day a week. I've just recently gone through a divorce and was looking for something flexible. And I've been in the industry my entire life and I enjoy bartending and serving. So I came on for that and that slowly grew into helping him with other things. And I kind of got to a point where I'm like, I'm working pretty hard as my hours grew and stuff. So I started looking to open my own place and he kind of caught wind of it and said, I'm going to sell eventually. Why don't you just buy it? Well, eventually it came pretty fast, shortly after us talking. So I took it over in October 2014. So he did a great job. I had a nice foundation, which is always fabulous when takes a little bit of the sting out of a small business. But we just, made it evolve a little bit with craft beer, did some remodeling, just kind of changed the vibe of things. It's been pretty well accepted. So we've been very fortunate. We have a great base of regulars, but get to see new people every day. So that's fun. But just doing our thing over here. We've stuck it out and I don't have any worries about this location here. We're packed with grad parties this month. So, we've gained a lot of support over the years and that's definitely been a huge part of our success.
I actually did not know that you did not open it and that you worked there and bought that. That is
Nope.
actually the first
I
time
literally,
something.
I literally started here one day a week.
Yeah, I'm learning something today. I never knew that story
Yeah.
about you. So you've owned it for about going on 7 years now, which is still quite a lengthy amount of time. But I had no idea about that. So that's an awesome
Yeah.
story. So, I know we talked off camera, and you were saying you were like, was it the end of 2019 that you had the best year you have had, or you're projected to have the best year?
We were rolling into 2020, just guns blazing. It was going to be a great year.
Yeah.
So
And we hit, the whole point of why we're here with this story is telling that story of the last year. So we've been calling it, the oh shit moment. People have been talking about how they've been made all these plans for the year. And in the restaurant industry, you guys are really hitting your busiest time of the year, that like March, St. Patrick's Day time.
yeah.
And everything seemed to just hit all at once. So for you, you had the best year in 2019. You were gearing up for big year in 2020. You were hitting your stride. What was that kind of oh shit moment for you to be like, wait, this is something, you hear it on the news,
Well,
things.
like I told you off camera. I mean, there were several. I'm not just me as a bar owner, but everybody getting stuck with, you're going into one of the busiest drinking days of the year, or the busiest. So getting stuck with all that liquor was a little concerning. They did do a buyback program. So some people got a little bit of that money back, but I don't know. I would have to say probably one of DeWine's press conferences when I just realized there was no end in sight.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out how you're going to stay open, and I don't have a side gig. Like, this is what I do for a living. I think people think I do this for fun, which I do have fun. But I'm a single mom of 4 kids. I have bills to pay, and I'm just like thinking, shit, how am I going to make all this work? And for me, especially because we did do a lot of things during the shutdown, we did delivery, we did lots of virtual tastings and just things that not necessarily kept us afloat monetarily, but I wanted to stay relevant. You know what I mean? A lot of people got really used to being at home, and I just think it's easy to come out of something like this and start new habits. Like, oh, I found a different bar. So we, we did our best with that, and that came with a lot of support. It also came with a lot of judgment. There were a lot of people saying I had no business being open, and what are you doing this for? And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people too with the PPP loans, as we were just talking about, honesty and misconceptions for people that aren't in the industry. Those PPP loans for most bars and restaurants weren't that large because it goes off of hourly. And, most people know that servers and bartenders make less hourly, which is why they work for tips and why your drink Bud Light costs $3 instead of $7. Because if we had to pay people, and I know that's a big hot topic, but I got told, well, you got loans. Like, what's the problem? It's like, that's a temporary fix to a long-term problem. So several of those shit moments, but I think when it finally hit, like, this is not going to be over anytime soon. It was a nice swift kick in the gut and a lot of soul searching. I mean, there were several times that I thought, well, maybe I should just go get a regular job. Maybe I close the doors and see what the future holds when it's done, and I go do something else. And then I remembered I don't like people telling me what to do.
Well, you're not the first person that's made that comment on the show about maybe it's time to just go get a different job. But
yeah, I mean, a lot of people did. That's the other thing in the industry, and I think that's why you're seeing this shortage of workers. A lot of people that were in the service industry went to jobs like Amazon and other places that were foolproof, for the time. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see the landscape of the service industry in the next year or two, just to see the changes. And I think people need to be patient and be kind when they go out. I will say that.
I think like something that you said really, nailed for me. I talked to a lot of people that over the last year, everything that happened, they reassessed a lot of stuff, whether it be career, whether it be, life and commitments and things. And I went through a little bit of that myself. People that know me, somebody at my barbershop just decided, I want to go get a job that has benefits and a steady pay instead of like, it just put so much emphasis on people to say, you know what, now might be that time to make that pivot or that change, and I still don't think people are so excited that, we pre-record this. So this is June 2nd, I think. I'm not looking at a calendar, but today is the first day of the mask mandate. I know this will not air until later in the month, but people just have this idea that like, oh, everything's going back to normal now. And it's like, I don't think we really know what the new normal is going to look like across the board, let alone in specific industries. That's still going to play out over the rest of this year, next year. It's going to take a long time to get into that new.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's going to take a long time for people to feel comfortable. And I respect that. I really do. But it does, it affects small businesses. I mean,
you have, we'll get back to your pivots and things you did in your North Canton location. But the one reason why I really like, you're one of the people I thought of when we started this idea of telling your story, because your story goes back way more than the past year as it comes to.
It's been a rough couple of years.
The battle. We had Drew from the Speakeasy on out in Canal Fulton a couple of weeks ago, and we brought you up in the conversation because he was talking about the community of Canal Fulton and things. And you came up just because that Canal Fulton location, and I hope it's okay for you that we bring this up, but
oh, absolutely,
it has been just battle for you at that location. I mean, I said something to you offhand. I know that I saw on the Facebook out there that because of the staffing things you're going through, you had to pull food off the menu, and you're like, please bear with us. But you have fought through natural disasters and now worldwide pandemics, and you're still standing. And I just want you to know, and we'll get into your story of Canal Fulton, but just from a me to you standpoint, the respect level I have for you personally, professionally, because I know the things you went through and that you're still laughing and you're still here. And I know you've had some moments, like you said, but you're just one of the most brilliant people that I have ever met. Tell people a little bit about the Canal Fulton story, going back to 2019 when you were looking to expand that second location, and what happened with that location.
Well, I actually, the purchase was final December 2018. And so we were rehabbing, it was VLI's prior to being the Vermont Canal. It had been there for 20 some years, highly respected place, but it was dated. So, and I had a very clear cut image of what I wanted the inside to look like. So that always takes longer than you think it will. I mean, I listen to a lot of beer podcasts, and you listen to these brewers and the owners talk about, we were supposed to open in 6 months later. So I was shooting for March, but we didn't get ready and get things to everybody's liking till June. So we would have opened like the middle of June. So we were having a soft opening, invite only, and then the following week was our grand opening. But on, I believe, June 18th was the day the rain started falling. So hadn't been a flood like that in 100 years in Canal Fulton. I think the first one was 1913. Mm-hmm. So it started with just a little puddle of water, so I wasn't too nervous. And I went home to check on my kids and went back a few hours later and was like, oh shit. My building's actually 4 stories. I have a dirt basement and then 3 levels. So Tuesday evening, the water was, I'm a tall girl and I'm mostly legs, and it was up to my waist.
Right.
So we were trying to pump water out. I mean, which the town had all their own feelings about that. Like, what are you doing? Where do you think it's going to go? And I was just trying to save my electric panel and utilities and stuff like that. I had a lot of help, a lot of support. The girls that I had hired to work were down there around the clock. My dad literally never left. He slept in a chair out front for the week. It was humbling to say the least, and just very surreal. I just remember thinking the whole time, how is this happening? Mm-hmm. So Kathy Corral, which actually was the realtor that listed the building, was there around the clock. The Hatfields down there, the neighbors, Hal down at the Canal Boat. I mean, and then the community, nobody really knew me yet. We planned on kind of a meet and greet thing after we opened, because no one, Canal Fulton's a very tight knit town. I'm not from there. And that was very apparent, but they were all very supportive. The town's definitely different from North Canton. And I said this, I think, in other interviews during the flood, and 1 or 2 people down there took offense, and I didn't mean it that way, but it's stuck in time, but kind of in a good way, because people are just still kind and neighborly, and what can I do to help you? So there were people I've never met before handing me money, dropping off flashlights, towels. Do you need a generator? So as bad as the experience was, it was the best possible outcome I could have had, because everybody was so kind. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Northeast Ohio Craft Brewery News on Facebook, but all the beer nerds around here follow that. And I kind of had a virtual friend in Rob Tittle. He was the admin of the page, and he does a lot of stuff with breweries. So he, unbeknownst to me, talked to Jake from Mays Valley, and actually Eric Williams of Momocho. And they not only started to GoFundMe without me knowing, because there were several people that asked to start, and I was like, absolutely not. That's not my style. We're not doing that. So thankfully, the GoFundMe covered most of my $15,000 deductible, because I didn't have $15,000 after rehabbing a business, or a building. And then Eric Williams actually came to the North Canton location and did a pop-up. And unbeknownst to me, it was, I'll pay you for the cost of goods. You'll get the profits. He donated all of it. So I can't be real upset about things I've been through, because I've always had such a large support system, which is why I always try to give back. I just think it's a reciprocal thing with the universe. So, but it's been a struggle. It's just, I keep saying, I don't think we've had chance to get our feet planted solid on the ground down there yet. So we have some changes coming, and I'm hoping that they're positive changes. And we have Dora down there, which I don't think anybody even knows. So I really do wish the city would push that a little bit better. They're not real inclined to do that. There was some, I think there was some pushback you know, initially when it was brought up, there were people in town that didn't want it. But we have Dora down there. So a lot of people haven't even been to Canal Fulton. Like, it's such a charming little town. I mean, everything's so compact. The water's right there. You can ride your bike, you can kayak, there's so much you can do. And I don't know. I definitely love to see a little bit more light shed on the community. So I do appreciate it.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with what Dora is, a lot of communities are adapting it. I know downtown Canton was one of the first ones in Ohio. It's not the little lady that runs around in the cartoon. It's downtown outdoor refreshment area.
It's actually designated, I guess, but for Canton and Canal, it works out that it's a D and you can say
It
downtown.
might actually be designated.
Yeah, it's designated. Yeah. They are doling them out like crazy now. It used to be almost impossible to get, but I know Dayton got one, and they did such a beautiful job of pushing it. So I think Canton does a nice job, and Dayton did great. I hear it's on board at Massillon. Plain got one. North Canton got one. So I mean, they are popping up. Some of them make sense to me, some don't, but I'm the more the merrier type. So
I think it's, for me,
whatever's going to bring business.
Yeah, what that is for people who may not know is you can take your drink outside. You have a specific cup, and it's kind of the Mardi Gras idea. You can leave your bar and go check out things in the city and take your cup with you within the designated area. So normally cities have a square. I think for me, and I was actually just talking yesterday with a guy named Matt who owns Sangria stand out in Massillon, and he did tell me that it was on the Massillon.
I'd love to see. I think that would be a great for Massillon. I'm a Bulldog, but I love hanging out in Massillon. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm a Bulldog as well. I actually don't spend a lot of time in Massillon, but I was down there yesterday meeting him, and I saw their new amphitheater. Like
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Township in Stark County.
Stark County. I mean, we just have there's a lot in Stark County. People, everyone, oh, it's boring here. There's so much to do. You're not paying attention.
Yeah, it's like green in their roundabout. Stark County is going to have amphitheaters everywhere you go. But I think the one thing we were talking about is even if maybe right now it doesn't make sense for a city, they're giving them out so much with everything going on that you may as well take it now. Even if you're not planning on, hey, maybe really utilizing it for a few years, grab it now while it's available and you can get your hands on it. And then you can do what you want with it later, right?
Yeah, I would imagine they'll tighten that up here soon. I think they did it as a,
Yeah. So
it'll be outside and it'll drive some business. I mean, obviously the state of Ohio needs revenue coming into liquor control as well.
Yeah. So if you're a township or a community and you're even thinking, hey, maybe the next few years we roll this out, you may as well grab it now while it's just being handed out, as you said, and as he said as well yesterday. One thing, and I was going to bring this up later, but you brought it up. You talked about how you try to give back. I want people, I said something about, respecting your resilience, but the other thing I respect is that is your mentality. Like you don't just say that. And I've had two experiences with that over the last year, one personally and one that I was at. But during the shutdown and when everything was happening and it was carry out only and non-essentials were closed and everything, you were fighting to keep your North Canton location open, which we'll get into. And you were doing carry out beer and food trucks and packaging that. But then we had this idea for this Stark Flavor thing. And John and I, neither of us have really worked in the restaurant industry. So I went on my Facebook and I put a little thing out. Anybody that knows them in the restaurant industry, I'd love to pick their brain on how to put this together. You are going through one of the hardest times. You're trying to keep your business going. You're doing all these pivots, and you were the first one to comment and send me your phone number and say, call me. And you took 45 minutes out of your day to talk to me. And I can't even tell people that about you. And the other thing you did is I was at an event over the summer of last year, and it was very social distance spaced out, but you had Saxy Rob there. And it was an awesome show. But you did stuff like that because you knew these local musicians were really struggling. So you utilized your venue, and 100% of those ticket sales went to the musicians. So during the hardest time when you were fighting, you're trying to support your family. You talked about 4 kids. I think you talked about the 4 kids on here and not about our previous one. So I didn't just put that. I'm starting to forget what we talked about before and what we talked about on the recording, but I think you said it on the recording, but you were still just, what can I do for other people? And I want people to know that about you, because you are just one of those people. And I'm not just saying it because you were nice enough to come on here. It's just genuinely what I think about you, that you always have that mentality of, okay, let me help everybody else, because then it will come back.
I just feel like community and collaboration are so important, and it's very rare that it's not beneficial. You know what I mean? When you join together to help other people or to collaborate to, we've done some stuff with Fromage, and you know, she doesn't need my help. She's one of the strongest women I know. But I learned a lot from her. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, oh, this is beneficial to this wine tasting that I'm doing. She's knowledgeable and she's going to do all this. And she's a go-getter. I mean, I think a lot of people, women especially, look at it as competition instead of collaboration. And I just think there's so many experiences to learn from other people in those kind of setups. It's just helps you grow, man.
She is awesome. Nicole
Yeah,
has
she is.
become one of my favorite people over the past couple of months. And we did a story with her, and she was one, I said this was her idea. And your story is starting to become this way, but we've had a few people, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but people are now in this idea of let's stay positive and community rallied. But her and Jeff from Shale were just brutally point blank honest of like, here is like what it was like, and here's what's going on. And like, but we've gotten such good feedback about that. And that's the point of this, is sharing those stories. But with her, man, it's there, right? Like, she's not going to sugarcoat. She's not gonna hide her feelings.
Yeah.
She's like, yo, this is it. But she is also one of the most go-getter people that I've ever met. So if you have,
she's extremely intelligent. I think everyone's gonna know who she is soon. I don't think it's gonna take little shows.
Agree. So if you're tuning into this because you're a fan of the Beer Room or Keri, go back and watch that. Scroll down the timeline a little bit and watch that video with Fromage from the
Definitely.
people, because you're gonna fall in love with this lady. I already have. She's fantastic. She makes me laugh probably more than anybody. But she's running an amazing business with a super cool idea. But she's a go-getter, much like, my guest today. So let's talk about that. Bring it back to last year and the pivots that you had to make. There's that bulldog coming out that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of necessary. Everyone's like, why don't you just close down and take a break? And it's like, well, first of all, this is how I make my money. It's not like this is a side thing I have going on. And again, as I told you, just staying relevant. I mean, when we didn't know how long this was going to go on for, I wanted to keep that connection with my customers and community. And, we just started coming up with ideas to do virtual tastings and deliveries, and, there's something we can do for you. So we did the best we could. We did an Urban Artifacts virtual tasting during that, and Scotty from Urban Artifact was nice enough to get on and do his brewery tour and everything. We had, I think, 64 people on that call. So it kept us engaged, at least. And I feel like a lot of the people that came out and bought things from us versus going to Acme, I was all about people go to Fisher's, but don't go to Giant Eagle and Sam's Club and buy your beer and your wine. Like, this is when we need you. Go to Royal Docks and Paradigm and the places local and get your stuff. So, but we had a really nice customer base. They'd come in like twice a week for wine. I'm like, you did not drink all that wine already. And I've had customers admit to me since, I've got wine stockpile that I just bought during it. We just wanted to make sure you were doing okay. And so we were very fortunate, and we didn't have that in Canal. And I'm not saying it's because Canal's not supported, because they showed during the flood that they were. It's just, I think when a small community goes into crisis, they support the people that, it wasn't just me that was a mess down there. Canal Boat's been there forever. Polino's has been there. So I'm thankful for the support in North Canton, and I'm looking to build that same sense of community in Canal Fulton. I think that's what's missing for us down there.
Yeah, and you'll get there. I mean, there's a huge difference between a place that's been open for, since 2011 that you've owned since 2014, a place that you opened in June the previous year. It just takes time to build those relationships, and
it does.
Unfortunately, you were set back so many times just because of the challenges, but that time will get there, because the people in Canal Fulton, you said
it's a great little town. It really is.
You said it's stuck in time, but not in a bad
way.
It
is. It's. I mean, the downtown's historic, so it's beautiful. They do open mic nights down there on Saturdays. They started closing off the streets last year. I mean, they're doing great things. It'll be interesting to see if the DORA does help this year now that things are a little bit better. But I think people really have to stop the mindset of all these businesses are okay. Like, don't think that because the bans are lifted or another round of restaurant revitalization went out or whatever, like, still try to support the small places. I mean, anybody that knows me well knows I do not step foot in a chain. The only thing we do chain, because I do have young kids, is Wendy's and Chick-fil-A. You will never catch me sitting in a Applebee's or buying my wine at Sam's Club or beer. I'm not going to do it. And I know that not everybody's afforded that same luxury, and sometimes you do what's convenient. But I think during this time, if people would just really concentrate on making sure those dollars stay local, they'll see a big return on their investment later.
Yeah, and no shame in that game, because we're trying to focus on local places and only local places on our site. But Chick-fil-A is like the one. That's the one exception. That's God's chicken.
Like crap.
So you can't. Nobody going to judge anybody for going to Chick-fil-A. Everybody, I still go to Chick-fil-A. Listen, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's
well.
It's not.
It helps. I do know the owner of the local one, and he's a fabulous human that gives back to the community every chance he gets. So,
Doug is,
I'm not saying that the chains are always the big bad wolves. I'm just saying that in this trying time, try to spend your money at local breweries and restaurants.
Exactly, and you keep your money in the community. And I think there was, 2 points of that. I think that was starting to come back pre-2020. There was this feel of like,
yeah, there was. I think you're right.
Local, like we want to shop small, like that wave was starting to brew, and I'm hoping that as things open up, that's just going to avalanche. You hope, but I think you're hoping so. But yeah, now is the time. And another thing you mentioned, and we've mentioned this on many of these Stark Flavor Stores, but if you're tuning in for the first time because it's Keri, the thing that has gotten me the last few months is I've talked to people just that I know or in conversations. I say, we got to really push this, support these local restaurants, go to your favorite places because they need you. And the thing that people have just told me, they're fine. Everything's open back up. They've got DoorDash. It's like DoorDash is the worst possible thing that you
awful anti-DoorDash.
It is choking restaurants out. I mean, you're adding up to 20%. Yeah, you pay them their little $3 tip in your fee, but they're also charging restaurants up to 20% on top of the staffing cost, the food cost, the prep cost, the rent. It's killing restaurants. Restaurants, especially small business restaurants, have it now because it's a necessity because so many people are using it, but it's horrible.
Yeah, I know Soul started using them. They could because they couldn't find drivers, and I guess you do what you have to do, but I mean, I just feel like if you're still scared, keep the mask on, go grab, carry out yourself.
Yes.
I think people have gotten very comfortable staying in their houses, which is understandable, but can't live like that forever.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of places that have made it this far along that don't make it till the end of the year, and I just don't think it goes back to that idea of like people don't fully grasp yet what the new normal is going to be like because it hasn't played out. So support your favorite small places because they need you now more than ever, and now's the time to support. Those chains are going to be okay, right? They're going to be okay, and if one of them closes, in Belton Village, another one's going to move in a week later anyway. So support the small businesses that you love, because if you want them to be around the next 5-10 years, rest of your life, now's the time you got to get them through that. So hopefully that's something that continues and you keep seeing that support North Canton, which I'm pretty sure you're going to, but hopefully, we can build that up in Canal Fulton. So
yeah, I've had a lot of people reach out with some ideas. So, and unfortunately, I think you go into business plans and you think you're looking at the big picture. And I've talked to John from Royal Docks about this on several occasions. You can't be both places, or in his case, 3 places at one time. So that's been a challenge for us down there, where people want to see me there, but I can't be here and there at the same time. So we're working on that. We're working on getting, we always say this place is like Cheers, where everyone knows your name, and they have bars down there like that. And we're looking to connect with the customers and build that sense of community that we have here down there. So hopefully, hopefully that's something we can work on over the summer and it carries through. But it's hard. I'm here to tell you, people think it's easy, and it's not for the faint of heart.
And John's a great guy to rely on because he's a very innovative, forward-thinking person, and the things he's done with Royal Docks are just amazing from when he launched till now. And his pivots and his things have just been outstanding. And just a very forward thinking. You want to talk about another go-getter personality, he's got it. And so the thing that I've loved about these stories and just the last year is, and I guess this is still a local business thing that you don't always get in change. You know, my career has been all over the place, but I spent many years retail managing, and you worked for these big retail shops, and it's like us against them and the competitors and kill them. And and I don't never worked in the restaurant industry. I don't know if chains are like that, but local restaurants, like you've talked about this, Ramaj talked about this, Jeff talked about this, John Bickus has worked with people. You guys, like, your competition, but you guys are really in this, like, we're in it together, and you rely on each other and you talk to each other. And that's something that doesn't always happen in a lot of industries and in a lot of things, but it's something that I think is remarkable that happens in small businesses and community places, and especially in the restaurant food industries, and something you've seen more over the last year. That story keeps coming up. I talked to this person, I relied on this person, we did this, and you're on this battle together and you're all fighting, but yet you're tackling it together. And I think that that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, we're blessed in Stark County. We got a lot of great businesses, a lot of great breweries, and just really people that are willing to collaborate. And it's not the, oh, you're going to steal my thunder type deal. Like Sean Sweeney with the movable feast, like if he actually was the one that was like, well, here's what we do. You don't have food. Let me park out front. I'll come as many days as I can. You know, and I don't know that I would have gotten as many people dropping by if they couldn't make that kill two birds with one stone. If they would have had to go, you know, down to Grinders and pick up dinner and then stop here to pick up wine, they might not have done it. So it's fun to watch what everybody's done through this. I mean, that is the one positive. That, and I know some people hate QR codes, but I love the untapped QR code.
Right. So the one thing I think is awesome about your place is your vibe is just so different. Like, you have so many different components to your business. How would you describe your tap room to somebody that's never been there before?
You know, people, they'll walk in, are you a winery, are you a brewery? I'm like, no, you know, it's just the barrel room. We, you know, just do our best to find the best wines and beers and bourbons and bring them to you. So, I mean, any given weekday you come in here, it's going to be mostly the same people. We do have a very regular clientele base, but, you know, we've also become kind of the place to go for like the Karcher group. They're actually should be here anytime. We got groups that come in here. The guys from Rentware support us. A lot of the other local small businesses support us. And then I kind of built on what Adam was doing when I bought it from him. And, you know, obviously we have become the place to host parties and graduations, and, you know, whether it be the whole facility or just a room, like, you know, Olivia had last night. And that's the fun part. It's fun getting to watch people make memories and have these events. And, you know, I have people that got married here that then had their baby shower here. So it's kind of this, it's really cool. It's really cool to watch. So I don't know. We definitely are different. And the no food thing really works here, which is way less hassle for me. I mean, if you've been in here, we just do cheese trays and dips and stuff and let people bring food in. So I mean, I don't even know what in the area is comparable, but that makes me happy that we just kind of have, you know, a different vibe. And there's some people that don't get it. And, you know, that's great. There's always something out there for everybody, but, you know, it really is like home for a lot of people.
Well, you have something for everybody. You have a really nice outside patio space you can do if you want that. You've got meeting rooms, like you said, you can rent out, and private rooms and multiple ones. And if you love craft beer, you've got such a cool craft beer selection of local places and places outside of Stark County. You've got an amazing wine selection. There's a lot of bourbon lovers. You have an extending bourbon selection. You've got so many things. And the way you've managed the no food thing, though, I think is actually kind of unique and awesome. That probably wouldn't work everywhere, but you have food trucks outside certain days. That was
Yeah.
there a month or two ago, and we just ordered soul pie and had it just delivered. And those soul pie people came in like 8 times, and I'm like,
Yeah, we get
we should coordinate this
soul
way
can be a
better.
lifesaver for us. Yeah.
Yeah, we kept ordering every like 20 minutes a different table. I'm like, we should have coordinated this better because these poor soul pie
Right.
people were just coming left and right. But it works for you. But you've created such a cool atmosphere and such a cool place there in North Canton, and your spot is awesome right there on North Main. Really easy to get to, and in a really good spot with the plazas and things around you. You've just created such a cool spot there, and it's kudos to you because that's a hard thing to do, and you've done it exceptionally well.
Thank you.
So, what's next for you as we move forward?
Honestly, just really concentrating on getting Canal where it needs to be, somewhat of a, staple in the community. I'm never going to be the canal boat or a place that's, Oshers, but, we do want to bring something to the community that they haven't had. I mean, it's a little nice, warm environment. I always say I feel like I'm sitting in somebody's living room down there. I really do love the vibe. It's much different than here, but so I'm just going to concentrate on that, and kids out of school. So that's going to be real time consuming. So that's all I got right now. I got a lot on my plate. So I'm just trying
to make it
I'm
through.
not looking at spinning another one yet. Not yet.
I probably would have fallen out of my chair if it had been like, yeah, I'm going to open the third one next week. It's okay. Like,
No, I've been approached, and no.
Maybe down the road.
Maybe down the road, not now.
So where can people find more info about you? Website, social media, whatever. If people have
barrelroomwinebar.com is our website, and we actually just have a landing page there for both locations. There's an NC and a CF button, and then we're on Facebook for both locations and Instagram. That's something that seems to work for some people as far as getting the word out there, and not for others. Social media is definitely changing the game, right, with Snapchat and everything else. So yeah.
Anything else you want to add before we say
no, I guess just keep us in mind for, parties. We do private rental of the entire space on Saturday mornings, afternoons, and all day Sunday. So we're booked pretty solid this month with grad parties, which is good to see. We had people that kind of took a leap of faith prior to all these orders getting lifted and booked it. We have regular beer tastings once a month where somebody from the brewery is always on site. It's a good time. Get to learn a lot. Generally, it's 4 beers for $10 for sample size. We definitely have the most extensive bourbon list in the area. I don't think that a lot of people, I just had somebody that's been coming in here for years look up yesterday and say, you have bourbon? So we do have bourbon. Private parties, we close down for weddings. We're a pretty reasonable place to go as far as all that's concerned. I just actually met with somebody from Brown-Forman before I hopped on with you, and we got a whiskey tasting coming soon. So there's always something going on, and we're always looking for something else fun to do. We teamed up with Lepley and Company in Massillon. We've been doing like stuff with succulents and, just stuff where people, I always say it's kind of fun to get out and do something versus just go out and drink. Have a little activity to go along with it. So,
right.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job too at Lepley.
They're a lot of fun. Those guys are a lot of fun.
Months ago, and my social media is blown up with people going to that place out there. And I knew he had a spot in Akron, and I talked to him. I saw his article in the repository right before we launched our coffee crawl because he was going to have coffee in there, and we didn't have a spot in Massillon, and it just didn't work out timing wise because he was opening, but with the coffee, he had some health department things he had to clear. It just wasn't lining up with the opening, but talked to him on the phone for a few minutes one time. He's just such a nice dude, and I know we're
they're both very nice.
Yeah, I haven't had a
great little spot.
I think it was Justin I was speaking to, and I haven't had a chance to connect with him since, but I follow his social media like a creeper, and just seems like a good dude, and he's running such a cool, unique business, and just another one of those things that Stark County has that people should know about because
it's a gem. It really is. It's a great place to live.
So many cool spots that people, and I get so tired when people are like, oh, there's nothing to do here. No, there's a shit ton of things to do here. You just got to get out and experience it and get out of your house and look around, but,
Definitely.
But thank you so much for,
oh my gosh, thanks for having me,
joining us here and everything that you do. And I know you're going to make it through. Just keep your head up and keep pushing through. So
I'm Irish. I don't give up very easily.
Exactly. I'm Dutch, but I don't know much about it, so I don't know what our strong suits are. But I'm sure hopefully it's that too. But well, thank you, Keri, and thank you
Absolutely.
everybody for tuning in. And we will see you next time on the next episode of Stark Flavor Stories. Bye.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.